Alright, hey everyone. My name's Andy Robinson. I am the creator of Smiles Not Scars. It is a new organization. I am starting for anti-self-injury or self-injury awareness. So I'm not reading off a script. I didn't really plan anything. I'm just kind of rambling on about this. So you're gonna have to bear with me. So first of all, the reason why I started this, it does hit home. It does have personal meaning. When I was 7 years old, when I was 6 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And upon recent research I've personally done, it's usually considered to be comorbid, which means it's usually found in other illnesses or syndromes. So when I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with depression. Not seriously, but I really did it, but I didn't actually, come anywhere near close to. But I tried to get hit by a car. I would stand out in the street and, chicken out. So since I was about 7 years old, I've been on, you see that? Anyone who's ever had depression should be familiar with that. It's Cymbalta. Among other antidepressants I've been on Wellbutrin as well, and Lexapro. I think Lexapro was what I started off with, most likely. But when I was in junior high, I took a pair of, those old school headphones that actually had a cord, like a longer cord. I wrote a suicide note out, and I tried to strangle myself. I wasn't admitted to a hospital. I was seeing a psychologist at the time, so we worked it out with them. We didn't have to go any further treatment, and I didn't ever try and attempt suicide after that. But when I was 16, see, now this is harder for me because I haven't really ever verbalized this story, because it's one I'm actually still accepting that is self-injury. So it's a little harder for me. So when I was 16, I was in school, in lifeguarding actually, and I just got bored, part of the ADHD, and so I started to pick my legs. It first started off like little pimples I would pop, and eventually it would just become making them to something where I can pop and squeezing them until they scar. About a year ago, it moved from my legs onto my arms, if you can kind of see that. I would pick anything and everything I could. It was just a really big problem, and I was like thinking maybe I'm on too much medication for ADHD, but it turned out that when I thought about when I was doing it, I realized that it was either when I was stressed, when I was upset, depressed, lonely, any negative emotion that really was strong enough, or even just bored. It was still the boredness, but in addition, it was those things as well. I would get this urge, I can't even verbalize it really, but I then realized that I I was self-injuring. You know, I didn't understand. I always thought self-injuring was just, you know, I had a poor judgment. I would think that, oh, if you cut yourself, you're like an emo and yada yada yada. But I realized that it wasn't just that. It was actually more. And when I looked into it, I found out that it can include, let me see, burning. Wait, I have a list. Let me think. I know it's burning. Anything that physically harms you, really. I think alcoholic was brought up. What else do I got? I have a list. I'm sorry for the awkward pause, but I'm getting on it. Cutting the skin. Self-poisoning, alcohol abuse, self-embedding of objects, forms of self-harm related to anorexia and bulimia. And it also is like, you know, you try and hide it, which is true with my legs. And for a while I would wear long sleeve shirts, so I would try and hide it on my arms. So the whole point is, one day I just saw this. I was seeing so many pictures of people who cut themselves, people who burn themselves, people who didn't even know what to do. And, you know, I recently started wearing some wristbands, you know, the I Love Boobies, this other one is for a cause called Invisible Children. If you're interested, you know, you can look that up. But that's not for now, you know, I'm not really here to explain about that. But, first I thought, what if you, instead of cutting, you replace one bad thing, one negative urge with another? And that's when I thought, what if you get a rubber band? And I posted this idea on Tumblr, on my main account, and people were, well, the response I got was, you know that if you just replace it with a rubber band, you're hurting yourself, and it can be just as bad. And then I thought, okay, that makes sense. So then I came to the idea of this rubber band, this bracelet I made. If you can read it, it's not the greatest color, and it's probably gonna get remade eventually, but it says, it's got two smiley faces on either end, and it says smiles not scars. So what it is whenever you're like gonna look down at your wrist, you're gonna see this bracelet. So if you're looking like this, like if I'm looking here, I'm looking at my bracelet, I see it, and it's supposed to remind me that instead of cutting, this is what I can do. And I'm gonna do an example if it works. So I'm gonna take this pen and and of course it's not gonna work. Let's try my hand. Come on. Okay, well, if it was gonna work, I would have drawn a smiley face on my hand. You know, that's what the smiles. That's why we're smiles, not scars. So we're gonna draw the smiley face, and I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna name him Bob. And Bob's got a story. Bob's a person. And every time I look at Bob, I remember, if I'm cutting myself or picking myself or burning myself, I'm going to be hurting Bob. And do I want to hurt another person with another story? That's kind of the general idea behind it. And so my hope, my desire at this point, you know, it's very early, we're going to be a very grassroots organization type of deal. My hope would be to, you know, first of all, improve these, but second of all, get enough support to where I can sell these. Or, I mean, it costs me money. I mean, I'm not trying to rip anyone off or make a profit, but I do need to sell these, and the idea would be to take all the proceeds and send them to a self-injury website of some sort. So that's basically the idea behind Smiles Not Scars. If you have any questions, leave me a comment on my video, ask me a question on my Tumblr, do whatever you gotta do. Well, thank you for watching, and before we get into a very extremely long video, I am going to cut it off now. So thanks for watching, and thank you for the support.